Good morning. It is 10:49 a.m. We are running late. Oh, hello in the chat. We have very early people on Twitch this morning. Good morning. It is 10:49, and that means it is time for Sunday Club, a normally weekly live stream where we work on some Ruby on Rails together. And we work on a Ruby on Rails application, and that application has to do with event registration and ticketing. And each week we spend a couple hours working on a small aspect of the application or Rails, or learning about something, or just kind of like exploring around and just doing some stuff. And I wasn't here last week. I wasn't feeling very well. And so thank you to whoever it was who commented on my little YouTube post. YouTube now lets me post little like status updates. So thank you for saying you hope I feel better. I feel a lot better. Now, the other question is, did I do any follow-up that I said I was going to do around the stuff that we had bumped into at the end of the previous stream, which was now 2 weeks ago? A little bit. This morning, I spent 5 minutes watching the start of the video for Uppy, but we're just going to dive straight in. We're going to pick up straight where we left off. So 2 weeks have gone past, but we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to dive straight in. And we're going to try and get Uppy working. So I had suggested originally last stream, I think it's still in the title of the stream, getting Dropzone.js working with our application. And then someone on the chat kindly pointed out that I had actually already done that with the previous application. So that was sort of a solved problem. And then it was suggested that Uppy, UPPY, is an alternative to Dropzone, and it's something that I've never used before. And so I thought that would just be equally as interesting to learn about, integrating with ActiveStorage and getting the kind of upload experience improved for what we were going to do. So we had this list from a couple of streams ago. Let's bump this font size up a little bit. We had said, okay, well, let's add user avatars for our users, which we did. Add organization avatars. I don't think we actually did that one because it was basically going to be the same. We then talked about adding some user interface polish. And then what it was agreed was actually be more fun to sort of take a look at being able to upload these images and make that kind of a more fun experience. So let's take a look at where this is happening. So in here, if we sign into our application, so remember this is an application where people can create events. Oh, I think it's just, I think I changed the seed data. Okay. Is it just 1, 2, 3? Yes, okay, great. Okay, cool. So we got our little avatars working here. You can see that we have a picture of a face behind the letter. The letter is the capitalized letter of the first letter of the email address. That's just the old code we had previously. And if we go into the user details, we had this code that renders out the avatar if it exists, just shows it as an image. And then we've got this kind of default user, like browser default experience for uploading a file. So why were we interested in swapping this out? I think one of the things that maybe got raised was something like file uploads on Heroku, because we were discussing Heroku a lot lately. So one of the issues that you can have with a default browser file upload in your form when you're using a provider like Heroku is that the image might be very large. You don't know how large the image is, or maybe it's a video or something like that. And depending on the connection speed of the person uploading the video, the connection might need to be open to your from the client to your Heroku instance. And they time out on, I actually don't know if they still do this. I think they still do this. I haven't actually used the default mechanism in Rails through Heroku in a long time, so it might be totally out of date with this, but they used to time out on Heroku. So if you wanted larger file uploads or had users that had particularly slow network connections, you didn't want to upload your file through that connection on Heroku. You would want to have that file go directly somewhere, anywhere you wanted, and then store some information somehow, whatever you wanted to do, and then just make a single update to Heroku, or even maybe not involve Heroku at all. But that was sort of how I've ended up doing, one of the reasons I've ended up doing this in the past. And you get a bunch of other, we talked last time about like a bunch of other image services that you can use, and interim services and all of that fun stuff, which sort of go around that. So I think we mentioned like File Stack, ImageX, Upload Care, Easy Upload, something like that. I can't remember. There's a whole industry around file image uploading, and most of which isn't free. So Uppy is this version of a file upload interface, but it doesn't provide a back-end infrastructure. It's just a JavaScript. I say just. It is a JavaScript library to provide a file upload experience with different providers. And then what we're going to use is ActiveStorage direct upload. And that is going to allow us to, instead of needing to post the form, we can, instead of needing to post the form to save the image starts saving. Well, I guess I just direct upload. You can decide when it starts to save, but we're going to configure it, I think, to save on upload, because I think that's what we did with Drop Zone. Anyway, that's hopefully a bunch of context of what we're going to do. But I said I had done some research, and I watched the first 5 minutes of this video. This is, oh, that's really loud. I want to mute that. But it seemed to be sort of the source code is available. And I obviously, if you want to, like, I'll put the link to this in the YouTube video description. But I think it might be a bit more fun to sort of not follow it too closely, because obviously the Go Rails stuff is great. So if you want to just do the thing, then Go Rails has everything you need. What I'm going to suggest is that we just poke around and see what happens, because that will be our usual sort of vibe. I'm just going to link to this video in the YouTube video description. And sorry for people watching on Twitch, I have no idea to do that. I get lost in the Twitch interface every time. Okay, so I've added it to the YouTube video description, but you can just Google Go Rails Uppy, and this video will show up. So cool, that's there. So we can kind of follow it through, and we've got the source code for that episode. So let's go, and is there anything in the docs that sort of takes us through the sequencing? No, okay, that's sort of what you have to watch the video for. Okay, so I did watch a bit of it. Is there were chapters on the video before, I think. No, maybe not. Okay. Well, we can sort of watch along and figure it out, can't we? So I think there's a bunch of stuff that we want to run. Yeah, so yarn, add uppy core, uppy dashboard. Can I do the double click to go forward 10 seconds? No, it's going to make it full screen. Okay, fine. So let's just try and see what happens here. Okay, well, let's do the same thing. Oh, this is all running. Okay, so yarn, add. Well, we can actually see the source code, so we don't need to keep going back and forth. If we take a look at what got installed in his commit, presumably there's uppy core. There's uppy dashboard. And then this is something that's needed. Oh, I see, but that one has to come via its own thing. Okay. What's the syntax for adding your own repo to yarn? I think you must do it in the video, right? I'm just gonna run it through. See if he adds it in here at the start. Sorry, this might be a bit, here we go. So you just add the path through. Okay, so yarn. You just add the path, so at last, oops. core dashboard, and then it's just that GitHub path. All right, let's see what happens. Adding uppy core dashboard, the usual stuff, adds loads of stuff. I think I remember engine node is compatible. I'll update that. Okay, so does everything build? Do bin dev. Okay, nothing seems to complain. Okay, cool. All right, so blindly following without following a tutorial. Let's see what we can guess at next. Sort of half following. He builds a bunch of UI stuff. Again, let's go and take a look at what's in here. That'll be more interesting. So the model is a photo that he adds, and a photo has many, oh, sorry, has one image. And what's ours? We are saying a user has one attached profile photo. Okay, cool. So I think that's this is the main bit of JavaScript we're going to need. He just added it straight to the application.js. Okay, fine. So we've already got all of the controllers and everything working. This is all boilerplate to get this working, but we've sort of got all this because we have a user details controller, and this has an update action which accepts profile photo as an attribute. So that's all done for us. Bunch of CSS. Okay, fine. Right, that's ignore. Okay, so we can just close these out as we don't need them. Okay, so collapse that. Collapse that. Is there anything in here that we need? This is a good way to do these tutorials. It's just like forced to read every line. Actually, when I say good, I mean awful, because you could just watch the tutorial first, but this is probably a good way to find errors and then have to debug them. Okay. Okay, great. That's just a normal controller, I think. We're bound to shoot ourselves, but that's a helper. I'm assuming this is all scaffolding. Okay, great. So that's a bunch of JavaScript that I'm tempted to say we might just... Okay, let's return back to that. So the photo, we already have our association. Right, and here's the form. So this is what we care about. Okay, so... So we'll come back to that in a second. Oh, okay, there's a JSON version for... Oh, I wonder if it needs that. Okay, interesting. Actually, let's go back to the JavaScript and just see... Is that something to do with the direct upload? So that's on complete. Where's like the actual triggers here? Direct upload URL here. So it's in the form. Okay. And what's the direct upload URL? Okay, maybe that gets set separately. Okay, so we're not sure whether we need this or not. This we don't need. Link to new photo path, a new photo. This is all just, no, we don't need that. That's boilerplate. All right, so that's another. Does the JBuilder stuff just come as part of the scaffolding? Actually, I haven't used Rails scaffolding in so long. I have no idea. So that might be a bit of a red herring without watching the video. That might be a bit of a red herring. So show is then just boilerplate show. Yeah, okay. So because each of these has a JBuilder, it's making me think that it's just part of the scaffolding and not something we actually need. And here we go. So here we have tag. So this is the direct upload URL. Sorry, it's not in the form. It's in the head tag. Rails direct uploads path. So do you have to turn direct uploads on in ActiveStorage? This is all just, okay, so that's all default. Is this a path for, okay, so the Rails direct upload. Let's go and answer some questions first. So if I on my home page just spit out that, do I see it? Yes. Okay, so you don't have to do anything for direct uploads. That comes for free. Okay, cool. So great. Okay, so I don't know what order to do this in, but let's go and chuck a bunch of random stuff around. So let's add this. It's going to do a bunch of prep stuff. So, and again, if you want sort of a better version of this, of course, you would watch Chris from Go Rails' video. But we're going to do things in what I have no doubt will be the wrong order. But you know, we're gonna break it to learn it. Never heard that phrase before. I'm gonna use it. Break it to learn it. All right, so in here we're just gonna arbitrarily add that bit. Cool. That's all stuff we don't need. This is all stuff we can still close stuff we don't need. Don't need that because we have that. Schema's only got those things in. So package.json. Okay, so we put these two in. So our package.json should also be in our changes. And it is not. Was that JavaScript error earlier saying that it actually wouldn't make those changes? So if we go back to these, are they actually added, or was that error saying no? Because there was no change to our package.json and no package.lock changes. Although I know we have changed the build pipeline, so I have no idea how that now works. Okay, here we go. So okay, so the engine node is incompatible with this module, so I need to update my 17.6. Okay. In my new world, in my new world of using like ES build and all that fun stuff, can I just ask Node to update itself, or do I have to do something else? Can't remember. I have like NVM. Oh, whoops. No NVM. Okay. Actually, I have no idea how I installed Node. It's going to say it depends on how you installed it, right? Cool. Just using NVM instead. That's from 2017. Anything newer? 2021. Download the installer. Okay, but I have like npm, right? Okay, so can I do npm update node? Oh man, I generally have no memory of it. Is it like did I do it via brew or something? Mm-hmm. So do I do brew brew update node? I'm just about to break my. Okay, so when's this from? Oh man. Okay, so let's do. Yeah, so I think I installed it via brew rather than downloading it for the website. This would make me think that was the case. Although I know that you can then have multiple. Oh, if I do like which node, and it'll tell me. All right, so brew update should do some stuff. See installed versions of node. I'm assuming that's why those things aren't installing. But I have no idea. So that assumes NVM, which I think I don't have. Because I think my idea originally was to sort of not use Node at all for Rails 7 and just use all like the new world, but that didn't end up being the case because we ended up using CSS bundling and JS bundling. So we did end up with Node, and I think that's how I ended up with it via brew on this device. Because in the past I always have used NVM, which is always pretty solid actually. I've never had any issues with that. I'm not sure why I didn't go down that approach. But I would imagine it was just because I only have that one application on this. And I was trying to get away from using Node at all. So, all right, brew update seems to really be taking its time. To the point where I wonder if it's broken, but it's usually fairly solid at doing this thing. All right, so we can get that working. Let's take a look while we're waiting for that to do something. Once that works, we want to add a bunch of. So we've got two main things to do, right? Which is the JavaScript, and then there is the form using the JavaScript. So let's go and grab the JavaScript first, so that when these packages do come in and start working, we can use them. So let's grab this. I'm going to copy that. And we're going to stick all of that. So close all these things, I think. These can go into JavaScript. He just put it in application, so we'll do the same thing, but there's no reason I think it has to go there. Also, when I was looking at the comments on the Go Rails episode, loads of people were asking for this to become a stimulus controller. And that's sort of interesting because I don't know what would be required to kind of get that to happen. My only usage of stimulus has really been on this stream, so every time I come to it I sort of forget everything I did before. But I'm assuming you would have, like, instead of this, like, where is setup uppy being called from, right? Like this. it's triggered on this TurboLinks load. So I'm assuming instead of having add event listener and then going on that load, you would instead have like a controller that they sort of work like React components, right? There's like a method that fires when the data attribute is on the page. So I'm assuming you would do something like that. Okay, great. So brew has done its thing, and then we can do brew update node. No, is it brew upgrade node? Bound to break my entire development environment now, so we might be about to go down a rabbit hole from which we cannot escape, but let's try. Oh no, actually I did run that one. I was just going to do the one above. God knows what's about to happen next. Okay, it's going to do stuff. I didn't even pass a specific version. I assume it's just going to install the latest version. Okay. This is luckily the only application we have on here, so this is we're only going to break one thing. That's sort of why I've ended up using NVM in the past. If you're working with multiple applications and multiple versions, NVM was a really neat solution. It sort of worked like there's RBenv and is it RVM the other one, like the Ruby version manager, which are again really helpful for that, for the equivalent for Ruby versions. They have a default. I think NVM does the same thing. You basically like put a file in the directory, and as you drop into the directory of your application, it'll be like, oh hey, this file is here. I know that I should switch to this other version of Ruby or Node or whatever it is. Really helpful. But I don't have anything else on this machine, so I haven't just haven't ended up putting those in. So hopefully I'm just going to jump to the latest version and it should just work. And then we're going to rerun our yarn ad. Hello in the chat. What are you doing as right now? What are you downloading? So we're downloading a new version of Node because we want to try and install some packages via yarn. And I got an error about the version, which seemed to imply that the Node version was why they wouldn't install, because it was a version incompatibility. And so I'm just installing a new version of Node via Homebrew. So we're hoping that will quickly let us resolve this and move on, but maybe it won't. But I'm also hoping it doesn't take forever. Holy crap, there's a lot that goes into these things. All right, cool. Oh, okay. Well, I put brew upgrade node and it seems to be installing. It's installing a new version of Python. Is that a node dependency? Maybe. Who knows what's going on under the hood of these things? Sure, lots of people know Node really well. I'm not one of those people. All right, so we have moved our JavaScript over in the background. So theoretically, oh, also, okay, so let's hope that these are here. Is it required? So they will all come from the installs. They will come from the installs. So for each element in our page that has data uppy, it will run the setup uppy method function, sorry. And that is doing all of the setup here, which is, okay, so trigger. Anything with uppy trigger in it. I'm assuming that trigger is when you click the little click to start the upload. Let form element dot closest form. Okay, yeah, fine. You could pass in like an ID there if you're worried about it not being the closest, but I think it would have to be. Yeah. This we've already set, so that's the direct upload URL. That's the Rails upload field name element.dataset.uppy. Element.dataset.uppy. Okay, so I'm assuming we have to set this on the element that's being clicked on. Okay, fine. Then we add a click and we take away the default click behavior for that. Okay, fine. So uppy creates a new yeah, I don't know. It just sets the default config values, right? Auto proceed equals true. Allow multiple uploads false, which we will want. I assume we'd want that to be able to get that passed in. Oh, that's cool. It has some, you can pass in your own logger. That's helpful. So, okay, bye. So then uppy.use. So that's presumably the upload mechanism, ActiveStorage upload. So this I think we get for, do we get that for free, or is Rail, no, I would imagine ActiveStorage upload is this. Okay, fine. So ActiveStorage upload is a custom uploader that has been built by Go Rails, and we're passing that to uppy here, specifying the URL that we have already set here via our head tag. Okay, great. And then we're also telling it to use, so I'm assuming use is like their plugin infrastructure or something like that. Okay, cool. Dashboard, no idea what dashboard is. I only pulled it over because it is the it was in the Go Rails video. No idea what that does. I'm judging just from that context of it having a trigger and close after finish. Is dashboard like the little list of options that it can pick up and have, like Google Drive and Facebook and stuff like that? Okay. Oh, she's on the phone. Okay, sorry, I thought someone was talking to me. Okay, so so then uppy on complete. So this is an event that uppy is going to emit. And this is then going to, when it's completed it's going to remove something that happens on a pending upload. So presumably these get created somewhere. And for each one, we are going to append uploaded files. So presumably that means we're going to say add a bunch of file attributes to the form and set the preview as like show this in the browser. And what is uppy.reset? That's on complete. Okay, that's in case you want to add another, do the whole thing again, I would guess. Okay, great. And then these are the two methods. 1, 2 that are called in this last section here. So this one, append uploaded file. Yeah, that's just creating a bunch of hidden fields. Oh, sorry, it's setting one hidden field and creating a bunch of attributes on it, which represent the image that has been uploaded. And we're just appending them to the form. And then set preview is, there's an element where it wants to show the preview. Like, it's lovely to have these days like good browser support, because back in the day I used to use jQuery file uploader, and this show preview had about 57,000 million lines of code to handle older browsers. All right, cool. So this thing has worked. Oh no, I don't. So it's npm minus v. So what's node minus v? 1810. Okay, great. So we now are on the latest version of Node. So let's do our yarn add stuff again. And see if it does anything different this time. It might not. There might have been a red herring and it wasn't the problem, but who knows? Great. Okay, so that was the problem, and we've got loads of fun new stuff. Now, it'll be interesting to see if our application works in any way, shape, or form. Yarn? No, bin dev. So let's see if it's still happy with building JavaScript-y stuff. Looks like stuff has happened. Okay, great. So let's just go to our application. Fresh. Cool. Okay, so we do have our application, and we should, if we go to inspect, we should have our generic meta tag somewhere in our head. Meta name, direct upload URL, content, Rails active storage, direct uploads. Great. Okay, so our infrastructure is potentially in place. Now we want to go to our form, which is our users details form. Edit. And so here's what we have at the moment. So this is basically show the picture. We haven't even got a conditional to see if there is a picture. It just shows it anyway. And so so we can just comment these two out. So they're going to go away just for a second, but we know profile photo is the name of our association. And then we're going to go back to our PR from the Go Rails repo. Oh no, all of my collapsing. Did all my collapsing. And we want the actual form code. We're just going to go through it and get the right associations, I think. Okay, so form, here we go. So let's view this file. So I've got form with if photo.errors.any. So let's grab. This is all standard boilerplate, but we don't have any of that at the moment. Actually, we can. Yeah, well, let's add that in for now so we can see. So ours is a user is actually our model, so not photo. So this is presumably a partial with photo being passed in. I'm just working on the form. So I think at photo would actually be at user. Okay. So this is where we get to the actual stuff that we want. Actually, let's just put this in raw so copying this can get a bit easier. We'll bump the font size higher. Okay. So form group, then we have a label. Great. Image is not the name of ours, so we're going to want to swap all of this out. Oh, I see. That's just, okay, we don't need that. Have we got a submit button already? Yep, don't need that. That's a delete option. We're not going to provide that for now. Let's worry about that. Link to upload. Okay, so that's our trigger. Okay, so I think it's just this part. Let's chuck it in here. So it is not image. And it's not photo. So select. We do want that one. So these ones are all profile photo. Yep, profile photo. And they are not photo. It is user. And this is user. That is some sort of generic. I don't know what that is. That's it. Okay. Okay, I think I hadn't pressed save on my JavaScript previously. I actually think when I said everything was working, I think I was lying. Although this is awesome. I don't know what's happening here, but I'm really enjoying that. Right, something is going very wrong here. Amazing. What is going wrong and how can we fix it? Is it... Because this is just the home page. So let's just try turning the server off and back on again. If this is just some sort of incorrect build version or something. No, okay, that's really wonky. Okay, so all the CSS is no longer loading. So I'm assuming there is some error before that builds. Okay, now where does one find that error these days? Console? Oh, that's loading. Okay. And let's just check. If I take all the stuff out of application.js and reload it. Wait, what? Oh, this is getting interesting. Okay, so cool. We've broken this in a way that I can't. I'm really not sure about. Okay, so let's just restart the server again to be sure. Okay, so two things jump to mind pretty quickly. We've taken the additional JavaScript out of here. So what have we actually changed? We've added those additional... Yeah, it's just a line. We've added those additional JavaScript packages, but we're not actually doing anything with them. So they just exist here. So I think if we... have we also updated some versions of some other stuff that we do depend on potentially? But these are all brand new ones by the looks of things. Okay. There's new JavaScript packages. But we're not calling them. Nothing in application.js. This is all stuff from last sprint. Last stream. This is all fairly irrelevant. That line itself is just me showing that URL, so we can discard that change. We have this form code, but we're not there, so that wouldn't break. But what I can't see are where I'm getting errors. Okay, so let's try... sorry, let's just try the Rails server. Does that alone... No, okay, so it's something... Something that's happening in the pipeline, I would guess. Okay, so which... Is it that the file is not there or that the file is broken? Load this again. So we have a style sheet. That's loading. Oh, okay. So here's a bunch of... Ah, okay. So here's a bunch of uppy stuff that is being included. Okay, so we haven't had to call any of that. Okay. So we have a bunch of our uppy stuff in our CSS. Do we only have uppy stuff in here? Yes. Okay, well that explains that. Okay, so assets application blah 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 .css is now only uppy CSS. Did we add? Okay, cool. So we didn't make any changes. So style sheet link tag application. Right, let's go and take a look and see if there was anything. Okay, so that's good. That's good. We're getting to the bottom of this. What was in the application layout thing in the Go Rails PR? Because there was something. So I'm skimming through really quickly. Here. Style sheet pack tag. Okay. But we're not using Webpack. Oh, wait, maybe that's our problem. Is there something different here? Okay. So we are using style sheet link tag application. And I'm assuming that inside like node modules at uppy. Somehow that's becoming interesting. Okay. So we're only getting uppy CSS, we're not getting R CSS. When we call style sheet link tag. Just seeing if anyone, there's so many people in here doing stuff like this. And again, just to point out, we have not watched the tutorial, so this may well be very comprehensively covered, but deliberately sort of making my life a bit harder this morning by we're just going to break it and hunt around and see if we can see something relevant or... let's just see, was there something on here where someone was mentioning this? Because there are a couple of pull requests on here. Okay, these don't seem relevant to the thing that the issue that we're bumping into. Okay. So I'm assuming this is a Webpack versus we're not using Webpack issue. All right, let's go back to, do we have any other CSS files in here? No, we only get one style sheet one style sheet. And it only contains our uppy. It says, out of sheer curiosity then, if I actually go to here, details. Okay. It's form.label. So other than that, like, okay, the CSS doesn't exist, but do we care right now? So let's see. We've got F rather than form. So the only use of that? Yeah, I think so. Let's see if this page renders out. It does. Okay. Okay, so here's where I was hoping something would happen. Nothing is happening. Okay. But we had removed that JavaScript, I think. See if that was causing the problem. Oh, which it's app JavaScript application. Okay. Okay, so we add it back in. Refresh this page, give it a second to build, and then refresh this page. Guess we want to know, does this have that code in it? Yeah, there's a bunch of, so all the uppy stuff has been included. So let's see, like, I guess we could just look for like set preview would be ours, wouldn't it? No, there's loads of stuff called set preview. Okay, let's try that randomly. Yes, okay, great. So we have our JavaScript in here. Can we add any breakpoints or anything, or can we just do that in here? We want to sort of know whether this is happening, right? So we can say I don't think any of that is being yeah, nothing's being fired out into the console. We're not getting okay. Let's just log something out. Just want to see if this is being the uppy code is being is being reached. Okay, cool. So we've got, like, I'm trying to sort of guess whether the CSS not working is totally unrelated to the fact that the JavaScript doesn't work. Like, right, like who cares about the JavaScript? Who cares about the CSS not working if the JavaScript works? So the JavaScript is being loaded in our application JS. Great. But it's not firing. Okay, so that's maybe we just need to check our basics. So we're putting that add event listener on TurboLink's load. Are we using TurboLink's load as an event? Or do we need to transition that to look for like document ready or something like that? We have used a vanilla Rails 7. No, we've used a vanilla Rails 6 app and updated it to Rails 7, but I don't know whether we have to explicitly add Turbo. Is Turbo now a default in 6? Probably not. Okay, so we could add like I'm assuming those are equivalents, but I actually have no idea. Great. Okay, so we now have the uppy code is being reached, and then we end up in our debug. Okay, cool. Ah, now we get errors. Great. Uppy2 is not a function. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now we are getting somewhere. So we don't need our debugger for now. And let's just see if uppy2 is mentioned literally anywhere. No, okay, cool. So where was our error coming? So we don't have a CSS working, but we still don't really care about that, I don't think. So this is happening. Let uppy equals uppy. Uppy, I think, is being set up in... yeah. Just Google the error really quickly and see if that's a known. No, nothing specific in there. P2 is not function, so in... have we added that code twice? No, okay. Is that in here at all? So just shopping around really, seeing I feel like it's something slightly obvious that I should be checking here. Oh, hang on. Can I just refresh that and get my debugger? Oh, hang on. That's already occurred. Oh, I took the debugger out. Cool. So here I shouldn't. Okay, so that's a class. I can get. I skip over. Great. Set up a bunch of stuff. Okay. Yeah, I kind of wondered when that's not the error I'm getting. Class constructors must be invoked with new. Okay, I feel like I'm going down a rabbit hole there. That's probably not that useful. Because the assumption is that code from the repo works. That uppy equals new. Hi, hello in the chat. Yeah, that doesn't sort of like it then complains about the logger not existing. I'm sort of wondering, that's the code from. Okay, this is slightly annoying because the answer is to go and watch the rest of the tutorial video, because he could just as easily mention, he'd be like, oh hey, by the way, X. Let's just skim through the screenshots because we don't want to. If I've deliberately made this hard for ourselves, that we were going to break it, but I do sort of want to cheat so I don't get too stuck. I'm also wondering if this, how much is structural around like not having Webpack and stuff like that. Like, is something happening there? I'm skipping through it. Here we go. Okay, so let's. I don't know if this audio will come through, by the way. Oh, amazing. Okay, so that's from the. Oh, hang on. Okay, so something has changed underneath this. So this is in the chat. That is from the new version of Uppy I mentioned in the last stream. Oh, thank you for mentioning it in the last stream, and apologies for not remembering. So is this an issue with? Oh, okay, great. Okay, so something's changed. Okay, amazing. So that's good. We kind of bumped into it normally, and we can go take a. So do we have to have a fork of that little tweaky? Check the first comment. Oh, on the thing. Oh, on the on the video or on this one here? On the YouTube video of Chris. Okay, great. Da, da, da. If the uppy poll is not showing for you as the reason that uppy version 2 needs to be initialized with a new keyword, let uppy equal new uppy. Oh, okay, great. Okay, well, let's just change it. I was just trying to do it in the console, but maybe that would fix everything. New uppy, is anything else changed? Logger uppy. Okay, great. So we kind of got there a little bit in the console, but it didn't work. So just refresh this. Thank you so much. This is really appreciated. All right, so then we can just run through. Oh, so we're still getting the same. Where's the 2 coming from? Genuine question. Where is the 2 coming from? So uppy is coming from uppy require uppy core. The word uppy doesn't mean anything to start with, but now it's fully lost all meaning to me. Let uppy. Oh, well, this is set as a const, but set as a let. If that does that matter? Oh wait, does that matter? Does it need to be immutable? Oh, okay, cool. B2 is not a constructor. So is that changed as well? Or equals new. Oh, it's a function now. No, that's already being used. Okay, it's already being used as a function, just being passed an object of config stuff. Okay, and then .use, that's all the same. So import uppy from uppy core. Oh, we're not using import. Is that a difference as well? Should this be... Oh, wait, should we just do this? Okay, and let's try dashboard. And I'm assuming we're not using XHR upload because we're using the direct rail. We're using the direct Rails ones for that. Okay, so this one is this. And then this one, we don't have a copy and paste, but we can assume it's import. And we have to hope that it exports, I guess, from... Okay, different error. We now get the same error as we got before. Logger is undefined. Okay, great. So is logger no longer part of... We could, of course, the other version of this we could do is pin our uppy version to an older version, as long as it still exists. We could say, like, install uppy, whatever was in that tutorial video. So full list of options for uppy. So it does take logger. It does take logger as an argument to new. So what's the error we're getting? Oh, logger is undefined. Is debug logger still in there? It's just called debug logger by the looks of it now. Okay, debug logger is not defined, so do we have to import that separately as well? Can I just not define a logger? I don't care. Oh, not caring about good things is helpful. Okay, wait, hang on. I do care. That sounded very dismissive. I do care about making this work. Okay, so we should go with we're trying to learn. We're trying to learn things. So let's learn about. Let's go and look in the code, right? Like we can just look in uppy in here. So find in folder. Can we look for like debug logger? You think? Yeah. So in the chat, maybe after we initialize uppy, we say it has a logger. I mean, we can do that, but it does indicate here that you can pass it through. I'm at the point of instantiating a new uppy. So I'm assuming that there is an assumption here that debug logger exists somehow. So that's like a vanilla version with nothing. Debug is false. Just errors logger. Again, is that something we've actually had to... Oh, is this going to actually explain? So an object of methods that are called with debug information from uppy.log, set loggers debug. Set logger debug logger to get debug info output to the browser console. Okay, that is exactly what we want. So this is what we want, and it's... No, JS is not my strong thing either. yeah. That's all right. We're just poking around. We're gonna figure some stuff out. We don't. We're providing your own logger. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I get the purpose of passing the logger in, but I do want to see. I do want to see it in the console. So, a debug logger looks like this. So instead of, let's go look through here. Or debug true. Okay. So I think debug true. So sorry, I went too quickly there. So I looked in the repo. This is the uppy repo. And I searched for debug logger. And I think that the loggers... Oh, these are being exported out of this module, but... Are these no longer called by default? Do you have to pass in the debug value? Oh, that would be interesting. Do you have to pass in the debug value first up here, false or true, in order for logger to be registered? So let's try that. Are these like dependent configs? So let's go back here, but put in debug true. So does that fix our problem? Oh, I need to get rid of that debugger. No, debug logger is still not defined. Is it? And what he had done, what the Go Rails one had done, put it on the class, I think? Something like that. Oh, here we go. Okay, great. So that has worked. Wait, so wait, what? So if I take out debug false, does that now fail? Forgotten what the Go Rails one was originally. Okay, right. So that now fails. Okay. That's incredibly annoying. So let's take the debugger out because we don't need that. That is really annoying. Okay, so if you put debug false, does it still fail? Okay, but if I put true, starts working again. Right. Okay. So logger, and is there anything about that in those docs? So that's got debug false here. But then logger, it takes in a logger that works. I wonder if there's some sort of, I mean, I guess I'd have to read the repo, right? Like, is this only called? Let's try loggers. What's the, where else was debug? So debug logger is included in the source by default. Oh, do I have to import it explicitly? Because that is as uppy. So do I have to... Does that work? Logger.debug is not a function. Oh. Oh, it's not the... Oh, that debug logger is not the same as default logger. Right, okay, I'm getting my loggers mixed up. Okay, that's really interesting. So if I put debug true... So there's debug logger, and what was the other one? Oh, just error. Sorry, it is debug logger, and then the other one is just errors logger. So if I import it separately, and do it like that. That one works. Okay, so that's not the same thing. So importing that class directly, it has to come from uppy.debug logger, and that's different because in here you're then going into uppy core. Where was our search? So in here, dashboard. Uppy debug logger. Okay. Okay, so you have to just remove both those lines at the same time. Okay, fine, whatever. So let's try upload my device. And so we had a bunch of pictures, right? We had some smaller ones. Didn't we make, okay, this one's good. It worked, I think, but retry is still red and scary. Okay, fine. Why would it show retry when it's worked? Done. So do we have a hidden form object in here? So that's there. We would have a hidden form object somewhere in here if our code is working. So we have hidden. It's an auth token. I don't know where it would hide it. Upload, input type, submit. I don't think so. But we didn't get anything out to. So we got a bunch of debug stuff out from here. That's just all upload, 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 upload. Oh, okay. Type error settled to is not a function. Okay. Don't know what that is, but that might be the same type of problem as we had before. A change in the API would make sense. Removed files. So what we actually want to know is, does done get called, right? That's the one that we actually, oh, sorry, uncomplete. So we can just log some stuff out to tell us what's happening. So let's first of all say, well, let's say the dot complete function is, oh, like, it's more of like an event, isn't it? Let's say has been omitted, because that's what we're getting. All right, so let's just run that and see if we're getting that. So do my device. So a bunch of stuff, but what we're looking for is, I think we might want to temporarily turn those off. All right, loads of debug stuff. File selected through input. ActiveStorage uploading. Uploading one of one. Okay. Type error settled 2. We can come back and fix that. Let's just see if complete ever gets called. No, great. Okay, so something is preventing that, and so I wonder if that is our error here. So upload files settled to is not a function, but now we know that we're getting errors because of version updates. We can sort of potentially use that as our starting place. So we want to check. So this we've just updated. We now have, okay, I guess we have to assume that ActiveStorage upload is fine because we don't know anything about that's like a third-party thing. So let's say use dashboard. Let's go take a look at the docs for that and see if they've changed. I'm just looking for the word dashboard, by the way. I'm just skimming through here. Dashboard, okay. Uppy use dashboard options. Dashboard is a universal UI plugin for Uppy offering several useful features. Drag and drop UI for the webcam, image previews, metadata, upload progress, ability to pause or cancel. Okay, so it says options, but it doesn't, does it specify? Ah, here we go, options. Loads of stuff. What have we got? We've got trigger and close after finish. Close after finish and trigger. Okay. Trigger is trigger, which is add event listener click. So we assume that's working because that fires, and all that actually does is turn off the default behavior. Okay, fine. So we don't think that's potentially a problem. Okay, so when it then goes to upload, well, in that case, I think the next part is probably this uppy ActiveStorage upload, because I actually wonder if there's something in there it doesn't like. So I'm just going to look for that on I just want the GitHub repo. These are not the original ones. Oh no, it was forked, wasn't it? I think I had it in here. Okay. Did someone say, oh, maybe I missed this earlier. Someone said bump uppy to version 3. Okay. Oh, okay. Hang on. So maybe this has got all of the changes we need in it. So bunch of stuff. Ah, settled. That's the issue we're having. Okay, so we also need this. Okay, great. So, amazing. It's strange that I didn't run through any of these errors when I used it. Did you do the more sensible thing and specify the version of uppy to tie it to the same version as the plugin? Because that would make 1 billion times more sense. Because then they would always match. I mean, you would have to take over this version of this gem or something when you wanted to bump it up, or wait until Go Rails updated this. But this is basically the problem we're bumping into with this line. So, oh, that's just a docs one. So we've only care about, well, I guess we care about all of these, right? Because we're going to bump into all of them at some point as failures. Can we just point at this commit? Yarn add specific commit. How to install a package in Yarn? I think you can definitely do this in. Great. Okay, so you can put hash and then you can put. Okay, great. But that's. Does it consider this commit to be in this repo? Yeah, I think so. So let's give this a try. Let's put this hash. Kill this for a second. And by the way, just to clarify, like I'm not recommending that you would do this in a real production application. You would do the diligence of like you would fork the dependency, or you would do all of the proper stuff, or you would tie your version to an earlier version. Like this is just for the stream. Usual disclaimers, like we're just getting something working. Like this is not what you would do at your job or anything like that. We're just learning stuff and hacking around and being, you know, being as diligent as we choose or choose not to be. I have just pasted the wrong thing. Why did that not copy? Okay, great. So now we're going to do yarn install. Damn it. Okay, so it couldn't find... Can you specify the branch name? Can you specify the branch name? Commit hash or tag or branch. Oh, hang on. You have to put... Okay, let's put the branch name. Can you... Oh, wait, but it's a different repo, right? Yeah, it's actually this that I want. Okay, so maybe that's why. Oh, you definitely wouldn't do this, will you? Like, yeah, like just tie your random dependency to just like, hey, here's a thing that I might delete later. Don't worry about it. But we'll get it working for now. So we actually want Puglet 5. Puglet 5 ActiveStorage upload. And we want master. So that's actually... I actually would tie it to the commit because who knows what this person is going to do with this one. So you could tie it to... You could still tie it to this commit. Okay, let's try that. Yarn install. All right, okay, so hey, if this works, shout out to whoever made that pull request. We appreciate you. we owe you a drink. All right. Okay. So the CSS still isn't working. None of this explains why the CSS isn't working. God knows what's happening there. All right. So upload. Thing happens. My device. So this will have like Facebook and Google Drive and all that stuff in it. That's fine. Which one is it? Nicholas something. So you double click this. Oh my God. Okay, great. And then we have, so this is our hidden input. So what Uppy has done is gone and done all of the uploading of the file. And what ActiveStorage, in this case, why not just using his master? Well, he could just move that forward. So I'm just tying it to that commit because we know that one works. In reality, you wouldn't trust either, I don't think, because it's just some random pull request. But he could be like, oh, I actually, Uppy could move another version on, so version 4, and rather than doing anything else, he might just change master, but I haven't moved yet. So it would be the equivalent of because then when I do yarn update, it would just pull the latest version of his thing. So I'm just pulling it through. Yeah, cool. And just again to clarify, wouldn't do any of this, but it worked for now. So yeah, amazing. Okay, so so ActiveStorage provided us a mechanism to upload files without needing a form submission. We had to do no work for that to exist. That just came free of charge. The work that Chris at GoRails did was to provide a mechanism to point Uppy at that mechanism. And so when it was doing the upload, rather than having to give it like AWS or FileStack or whatever it is, we just gave it ActiveStorage. Now, my assumption is that if you locally, that file has just been uploaded to my temp directory in my development environment. But my assumption is that then when ActiveStorage has AWS configured or Azure or Google Cloud or any of those other cloud image providers that you want to use, or file providers, sorry, is it in/storage? Sorry, wherever the default one is locally. So this code would send it via ActiveStorage to your correct uploader, right? So you get all the advantages of ActiveStorage being kind of provider agnostic. So you might have a staging environment that points at Azure and then a production environment that points at AWS. I don't know why you would do that, but you might do. And I think that should sort of all work because of ActiveStorage's giving you a generic API over the top of that. And this solves the problem, as we mentioned earlier, of like Heroku long uploads or something like this. So in here, I think Uppy, one thing it mentioned it gave us was like progress bar updates. So you could, what could you do? You could prevent form submissions while the files were uploading. So if you knew you were going to be asking for big files and you knew that your audience maybe didn't have decent web connections or whatever the constraint you were working with, you could say, right, don't allow them to submit the form while the file is uploading. And then it has to go all the way through to AWS and things like that. And then that gets you around your Heroku problem because you're not posting to Heroku. Remember, you're making a direct file upload to the provider, whatever your provider is, AWS. And only when that's complete do you get the full information back. Like it's already been uploaded, that exists. And what you're given back here is something. I actually can't remember what you're given back. I do remember looking at this for drop zone. This is either a global ID to an object, or it's a hash, a secure message containing all of that information. I think that's what's the Rails protocol? Is it secure message, something like that? I think that's basically thing that your app will then unravel with its like will know what to do with it. So let's say we update these details. Okay. Oh, actually, we can probably look in the log. So that now totally works. So that has been stored as the new file for this. We can probably actually look at what actually happened there. So somewhere there will be a. So there's delete from ActiveStorage. Are these my uploads though? I'm trying to look for it when I actually generate, because all of Active so the logs would have been firing while we were doing those uploads, right? Because they're still processing things. So I'm not actually sure what my form submissions does. Okay, so this started get, so it would be the one, and that would be the, because you get loads more gets, don't you? Because you then get the redirect for ActiveStorage, right? Okay, yeah. Okay, it would be in here somewhere, probably file. Okay, I don't think I can actually be bothered to look through this because there's now so many read rights to this. Okay, fine. It worked. Who cares? All right. It works. That's pretty great. Did we get a progress doodad? It would be cool to get a progress thing. Show progress details. And that comes with dashboard. Oh, maybe it was just too quick. Actually, maybe we did. Can we spoof that in the browser? Where is network? So no throttling. We can just do it to like GPRS speeds. So now if we upload a bigger file, and that's really tiny. This one's 5 meg. Then we open. Oh, okay, great. So now we have, okay, that might be a bit too slow. That's a good 2G. Still too slow? Okay, maybe regular 3G? Maybe we've broken it? Okay, maybe we've broken it. Good 3G? Hello, come back. Oh, okay. That's... Yeah, that's broken. Okay, so let's try good 2G and start again. Okay, something's happening now. Interesting. It's generated the thumbnail and now it's generally stuck. So if we take the throttling off and then try it again. Oh, okay. Good to, okay, so that's really broken. Okay, so let's just try that again. Does the 5 meg file work? No throttling? Yes, okay, great. So something, okay, so let's say good 3G. Oh, let's just refresh the page. Maybe slow 3G. I had forgotten how slow 3G actually is. God, yeah. Every time we do throttling testing, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know how fast my connection is here, but I think it's like 300 for 500 meg, something like that. The idea of going to slow 2G, I think, would really slow my day down. Okay, so what we're on good 3G. I just wanted, all I wanted to know is if the progress bar works really well. Oh, interesting. Okay, so throttling breaks that. Is it because throttling breaks it, or is it because it struggles with slow connections? That would be interesting to know. That would be something I would want to test. Not right. I'm not going to dig into that right now because it sort of works in theory. Because, like, what's happening there? Like, it's got to the empty thumbnail queue, but what's the normal next step, and why isn't it getting there? because obviously then we unthrottle it and it still doesn't actually kick in. So it's got stuck somewhere. You would test that. I mean, if you were using this in production, you would have a staging environment where you could like, you could either throttle it or you could literally test it on a... okay. I spoke too soon. Okay, so the answer is that you're just not seeing a progress bar, but we weren't seeing any progress in the debugger either. Uppy.reset is not a function. Okay, that's interesting. So that's the last thing that we're calling here. Have I just been missing that previously? Let's unthrottle it and do that all again and see if we get the same error. This is unthrottled. Now we're just poking around in stuff. Okay, so it's got 5 meg uploading. No error. Okay, so the throttling broke something. Interesting. That could be anything. You'd have to go poking around. Like we're getting... These are all progress events, I'm assuming, during the upload. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that is, actually. Okay. Didn't you press reset like on the form? Oh, okay. So if I go upload... No, I don't think so. It was just there. Maybe I misclicked it. Upload my device. Do this. This is unthrottled. No, I don't think so. Maybe I did though. Maybe that's from that little retry button. So what was the other thing I wanted to say? There was an API for that, right? Like this can get closed, this can close. Thank you to that thing. So we can just show progress details as false on the dashboard thing, but I think it's probably true. So let's set this as true. I think that is actually already true and it's just not showing. Let's see. To be quick, I guess. Oh, uploading. Here we go. So we get a progress bar. Okay, interesting. So now let's try that again with good 3G. And see if we get any of those events coming through as percentage ones. Because this did work with drop zone really well. So, and I'm not saying that it doesn't work with Uppy. I'm just saying it might not work out the box for us right now. That's 0%. Still 0. I think we will just get to 100. I think it will just suddenly work. And if we like unthrottle that all of a sudden. I genuinely thought that wasn't going to take very long. I was like, God, it's just going to pop straight. It worked last time. I think if we just leave that long enough, it will work. All right. Okay. So progress bars, multiple. Yeah, I have to say. Yeah, it did work eventually. Okay, so we didn't get the progress events. Okay, so we could figure that out, right? Like there's presumably some the way. So we've done. I've used jQuery file uploader in the past and drop zone. So the way that normally works is there's like, we have an event being emitted here called complete. But the way I think that's potentially working under the hood is there's usually another event emitted called like something upload progress or something like that. And then that's just emitted regularly with a bunch of information about where the upload is up to. And there's a bunch of stuff from memory around like really big uploads sort of have to do a bunch of work around. I can't remember. Anyway, these packages take care of it all for you because they're great. So there's usually something there. And so what I'm assuming happening here is that dashboard is built in and is sort of handling that for you. But theoretically, you wouldn't need dashboard. You could DIY yourself. And I think that's what we did on the drop zone one. Again, you'd have to check in the YouTube archive or just go take a look at drop zone. I think it gives you a bunch of CSS by default and a handler, and you like sort of pass the percentage straight through to the little CSS bar. It's like 50% is 50% width of the bar, and it kind of animates across and is fine. So I think this is just like a much more great looking version because you get the dashboard for free, but you have to go poking around if that breaks, right? Like that's broken. So like you put in the chat, something is definitely broken. Okay, but we have to go and find out what. So you're kind of like, that's annoying. But it's fine. That's all good. Okay, so that now works and is great. So should we see if we can find out what's going on with the CSS stuff? So I'm assuming this is all, because that broke almost immediately after we installed this, I'm assuming that everything is basically the file, some sort of mismatch of versioning, or like that this didn't work quite as we expected it to, because the idea that it would break CSS is weird. So is it something like these? Let's take those out to start with. And I'm just going to turn the server over as well, just in case. So I'm not going to go and debug the stuff. We've got file uploads working. Like there'll be specific issues, but that's not overly fun. I think potentially I would either, even if I went with uppy, potentially not have, I don't know. Would I use the dashboard functionality? I think it depended. Like we haven't turned like Facebook and Google Drive and things like that on. But if I was using those potentially, but if not, maybe not, and have a simpler implementation, but on my side, like on the repository side. Maybe. I'd probably get poking around a bit more. Okay, so that did not fix that. Okay, so that's fine, because I'm assuming these should also be imports, right? But oh, are these in? But I've commented them out. So what was happening was, just jumping back to the CSS issue, we now had CSS, but only the CSS for uppy. We had none of our application CSS. So the issue was that we're not using this at all anymore. And that could potentially go because we're not using Webpack. I think that could be removed. Or do we suddenly call it from in here? No, I think that can go. It's just lack of tidy up from I think that can go as well. Yeah, I think they can both go. That neither of those are working following the move from Webpack to JS Bundler. So right, do we import these here? Are they, what were they, just CSS, right? Can we do this? This might be an incredibly bad idea. I have no idea what I'm doing. So Sass can import standard CSS, I'm assuming. I have no idea. Does that work? No, very much no. All right, cool. So there's definitely a bunch of stuff there that was being hidden. So now we have, Oh, wait, yes. Wait, hang on. Yes, but so our CSS is back. Great. Their CSS is broken. Okay, amazing. So wait, hang on. I love that it looked so broken. I thought it was broken. It's just the fact that our styling is so bad, you wouldn't know that it works. Okay, great. So this is technically styled. It might look like shit, but it's actually styled. Right, so okay, so their CSS is now totally broken. So this did not work. Did anything get pulled through here? Can we go and look at our... we want to look at the actual... Oh, we can just do it in network, right? Something in here, and then... Oh, that's actually... So if you call the CSS file, it's actually just calling that, which is obviously not going to work because it's... Those paths don't exist, so it's just doing those as imports. Okay, so hang on, let me... So let's do that then. Boom. Okay, great. So what fixed that? So they were being called as... Oh, shit. Sorry, Siri. So they were being called as requires because this was a Webpack version of this JavaScript. And so I think Webpack would have worked out that they were CSS files and behaved accordingly. Whereas we have taken Webpack away. I'm saying everything here very tentatively because I'm not sure what's true. And then instead we are using CSS bundling for our CSS. And that here with Primer had allowed us previously to reach into a node module and grab the CSS to be processed. And so I just followed that path. I remember thinking at the time here for Primer, like whether that's a good idea or not. I actually have no idea. Although it is sort of what we were doing here anyway. So it's just doing it from a different place. I don't know if we're really increasing our dependency anymore and we would notice if it broke. So don't know. Presumably if those files went away, you would get an error anyway. It's only if they change, and they would only change if you change your version. So fine. Cool. Okay, so this sort of, so I have my device. So for Uppy, I guess the last thing I really want to look at for Uppy is other Uppy, sorry, typo, is like how we get other file providers. So docs. So I think it must be, is it under dashboard then? Is that the thing that supports? Okay, your remote sources. So how do we add other sources? Sources, here we go. Requires companion. What is companion? A companion instance is required for the Uppy Google Drive plugin to work. A companion handles authentication with Google. Okay, great. I did wonder about that. So I've used FileStack for this previously. And so they have a service where they will, because you have to sort of store the tokens and everything that you need. And they sort of took care of that for you. FileStack had their own versions. They were like, hey, here's Google Drive. We'll take care of the token handling for this user. Don't worry about it. And you could, I think it was like an additional version bump. So when they went through to Google Drive and they were like, do you want to allow this thing to interface with it? By default, it said FileStack. Do you want FileStack to allow access to your Google Drive folder? And you could pay an extra bit of money to FileStack and they would let you put your branding and all of that stuff, but still use their code. You had to do some integration there, I can't remember. Which is fine. So I'm assuming companion is like documented in here somewhere. Setting up. Companion Google key. Yeah, you had to, so you, with the FileStack stuff, I don't think you had to go and get like your own secrets or anything. They just took care of everything. Whereas here you would need to go and get your own keys and all of that fun stuff. Okay. Yeah, okay, well, let's document it. I'm not going to go through all that. I don't really care enough about doing this other providers. So drag and drop target on LEN. Okay, that's pretty cool. And then drag and drop. Don't need file previews. Yeah, I think I would probably. I think drop zone is sort of more what I was looking for out of the box, but they both seem like great solutions. This one just sort of was like, yeah, it was like, hey, here's an area, drop some files onto it, or you can click on it to get a file uploader. Like that sort of makes sense. All right, we got it working. I don't know if I'm going to persist that around for now, just because we're already pointing to that weird commit in someone's pull request, and having to support those things. So we'll make a call on that next week. But yeah, that was really fun. What did we cover? And then I think it's worth noting a couple of lessons. So we looked at getting uppy working from the excellent tutorial at Go Rails. Didn't follow any of the steps, didn't actually watch all of the tutorial, but that's not because the tutorial isn't great. It's just because I wanted to make life hard for myself. So just have a go and poke around and things, read some docs, and just do normal Sunday Club stuff. So I think if we had followed the tutorial, we would have had a much better time. And then kind of we went down some different holes. Our CSS broke, some things didn't work. Thank you in the chat for pointing us towards the uppy version. I think we maybe would have got there in a million years, but we were heading sort of, we knew the errors we were getting, we were just weren't quite sure. And then obviously the CSS going and the CSS not working was related to the Webpack, not working with Webpack, whereas the rest of it not working was due to the uppy change. So when you get two errors, two things going wrong, you're sort of trying to work out if they're related to each other or not. And the thing I would note about that is that one of the tricky things with something like a tutorial or a lesson on Go Rails, and again, Rails has really excellent stuff, is you can get kind of screwed when something changes underneath that tutorial. So it's a version, it's something infrastructure based or something like that. And so Go Rails has those forums, things under the videos that you can interact with. I think they have a Slack or a Discord or something like that as well. And so it's it's sort of really not good because you want to just be following the tutorial and learning what you want to learn, but in reality you're bumping into things that are real things, like that you would be following the documentation for something and it might not be up to date and you have to go and poking around. So learning how to debug things when they're not working is a really useful skill, and specifically writing a really well articulated question on that forum or on Discord is going to save you so much more time. If you just post, hey, this isn't working like it does in the tutorial, please help, that is not helpful. Like they cannot help you because you haven't made yourself helpable. So you need to describe the specific issue you're experiencing, the steps that you have tried to take to fix it, or anything that you think might be pertinent. And you don't have to put all of that in your question, but like you can use GitHub gists or anything like that and just be like, hey, here's where I'm up to, please try and help, or anything like that. I find it so frustrating when people sort of reach out and being like, hey, this isn't broken, please, this isn't working, please help me. And you're like, okay, I need literally any information to help you, even if I'm willing to help. I need some more information. So please bear that in mind if you are watching those tutorials and you bump into an issue like this one. That's it. I'm gonna go because I'm absolutely starving and I'm so excited to go and eat some breakfast. Thank you to people in the chat. Yeah, incredibly useful and thoughtful, as always. Yeah, have great weeks, and hopefully I feel a lot better now, and so I'm all good, and we will do this again same time next week. Have a good week. Bye.